Emily, what's your experience with sexual assault?
One of the biggest things when people are assaulted is there's this dissonance, this disillusionment. Did this happen? Often disbelief. In fact, you might see a sexual survivor or a sexual assault survivor and they seem like nothing's wrong, and you might question, did this really happen to you? And you might want to ask questions, but often that's a state of shock, their own disbelief. So your unconditional belief is incredibly important. It's not easy to talk about these topics. No matter how apparently big or small we may define them in our lives, vulnerability needs to be honored and appreciated. So show them how grateful you are and honor their sacredness and honor the sacredness of their story.
I think I identify it most closely with what's most recent, but it began when I was on a missions trip and I was in a sports bra and a V-neck that didn't even go low. Not that I should have to justify that. And I was sitting crisscrossed on the floor, and one of the older boys at the orphanage came over and exposed me. And I still had to go into an entire few hours of ministry, not understanding what just happened. And then my leader pulled me aside that evening and told me it was my fault because I was dressed too promiscuously.
Most victims are thinking, what could I have done different? I caused this, I sent the wrong message, I shouldn't have been there at that place at that time. You need to assure them it wasn't their fault and they're not to blame, because they're telling themselves they're to blame.
Questions like, what were you wearing? How much did you have to drink? All of those things. Were you flirting with them? They have the narrative behind them of, could it be your fault? When someone has just told their story, they're super vulnerable, and what you want to do is enforce their bravery, not their shame.
Your job is it not to question the validity of their story. Leave that up to the investigators. Your job is to be a friend, to listen, and to maintain presence in a non-judgmental attitude.
Reporting is almost more traumatic than the initial event. I went to the police first, and I was scared. And so it took me a couple days to go. I remember waking up the next day and working an 8.5-hour shift at Starbucks and buying Plan B like a sinner on my lunch break and just cursing myself the whole time. And it took me a couple days to be willing to go report it.
The interview can be very insensitive. It can be extremely invasive. I remember hearing about a survivor that was basically stripped down to nothing in the middle of a doctor's office, started being questioned aggressively about her assault, what they did to her, and she's thinking, I just survived the most traumatic experience of my life. It is a secondary traumatization.
When I was there, it was questioning everything. Was I wrong? Am I dirty?
I would say be there for them, provide comfort, even give them like blankets or journals or tea, things that you can do to support them, and again, be that safe place where they can process.
The truth about reporting is that 13 out of every 1,000 people who are reported for sexual assault will actually see prosecution, and only 7 will make it to prison.
One of the most important things is to not make their trauma about yours, at least in their presence or while you're with them. When you're with them, I'd say be with them, and it's not about like making it better and trying to fix it and, oh, you know, you're gonna get past this. Like, those are nice things to say, and I think those are things we say because we don't know what else to say. And so to that, I'd encourage someone to just be.
Saying thank you is the best thing you can do. Thank you for being brave to share with me. Thank you for trusting me. I can't believe that happened is a good expression because it's one of shock and not one of how disgusting are you.
You don't have to have the answers. More times, more than likely, you're not going to know the answers, and it's okay. They're not looking for you to have the answers as a friend.
The people who supported me had to support a person who essentially armadilloed. And they stayed for all of the mess afterwards. So to those people, I say thank you. They're my heroes.